this exciting mini-episode, Perry Hamilton Della Paul, who's the winner of the Defendant Brawl. Court is in session. On the docket, the greatest Season 1 defendant. It's now on the Perry Pod. Welcome, everyone. I'm your humble host, Jonathan Searcy. Before we move on to Season 4 of Perry Mason, I thought I'd finish out our Season 1 Defendants Tournament. The setup: I put all 40 of Season 1's defendants into a bracket. They're facing off against each other for the crown of Season 1 champion. My criteria? Pretty simple. Number 1, was the defendant memorable? Number 2, was the defendant the most compelling guest star in the episode? Number 3, did Perry respect the defendant? And number 4, do we have any other history with the actor or actress who portrayed this defendant? We've made it to the round of 16. You can hear details about those winners in separate mini-pods. Now we're going to fly through these final 4 rounds and leave with a champion of Season 1. What do you say? Let's get adjudicating. I posted the bracket as it stands before the rulings I'm about to make in the show notes. Click the link, you'll get caught up. Let's start on the bracket's left side. In our first matchup, Evelyn Bagby faces Nadine Marshall, both titular defendants, the restless redhead, the demure defendant. Evelyn wins this contest mainly because she's the defendant in the series' first episode and that beauty of a final sequence.
The case against Evelyn Bagby is dismissed. Mr. Berger, you will take the necessary steps about Mr. Bowles.
Oh, Mr. Mason, I'm so grateful.
Careful with those big blue eyes.
In matchup 2, Daniel Reed defeats Marion Fargo. Remember, we're not ranking the episodes, just the defendants. As much as I like Angie Dickinson, Daniel Reed, more memorable, more compelling. In matchup number 3, Daniel Conway makes relatively easy work of Maury Allen. Keep on merging corporations, Daniel. You've got our proxy for sure.
What are you up to now, Miss Fixit?
Well, I just thought since they were both so interested in Cal, Texas, it would be a good time for a merger.
And in the final contest on this side of the bracket, Sally Fenner defeats Lisa Leachin Bannister. Again, Perry risks legal haranguing for Sally's sake. Paul even goes deep-sea diving for this ethical administrative assistant. Sorry, Lisa. Hope you and your stepmom turn out all right. To get us to the final 4, Evelyn defeats Daniel Reed, and Sally Fenner defeats Daniel. The Daniels finally go down, leaving us with a matchup of Evelyn Bagby and Sally Fenner. I think Sally's a really underrated defendant in a really good episode, but she's no match for Evelyn. The denouement seals the deal.
And half of it belongs to Evelyn.
To me?
He wanted you to have some compensation for that trouble in Riverside. And then, too, you have red hair.
What does that have to do with it?
Well, Helene Cheney has red hair. He must be partial to redheads.
Evelyn's headed to the final. Let's see who she'll be squaring off against. Over in the right side of the bracket, in matchup 1, Arlene Dowling, the sunbather, defeats Peter Cole, the sleepwalker, thanks to a memorable and compelling performance. Tell us more.
All right, Della, I give up.
No joke. She lives in a trailer and somebody stole it. Trailer hitch and all, along with everything she owns.
Everything?
She was sunbathing at the time. I think she said she was calling from a golf course.
She must be quite a sensation.
Dwayne Jefferson gets the nod over Janet Morris, mostly because he's the biggest schnook left in the tournament and the only defendant who loses the case for Perry. And of course, Janet only narrowly defeated Myrna Davenport in the previous round. Sybil Granger defeats coquettish Elaine Barton. Sybil fights for her man. Elaine waited a little too long to commit to Ross. Sorry, Elaine. And in our final round of 16 matchup, Harriet Bain defeats Frank Lawton. I knew I'd go from rags to riches. We'll take this defendant holding on to Perry's arm over the former Army bud who throws away his notebook and pen. To get us to the final four of this bracket, it'll be Arlene over Gentleman Jim. Your reign of error ends here, Dwayne. And I'll take Sybil Granger over Harriet Bain. Really, the deciding factor is how many times Maggie Hayes, Sybil Granger, has appeared on the show in addition to the case of the nervous accomplice. In the final four, I have Sybil defeating Arlene. Arlene's memorable and compelling, but nobody's getting the kind of respect from Perry that Sybil does.
Oh, Mr. Mason, he's worth fighting for. You just can't give up 15 years of married life, of love and companionship, of being part of another person, just because one of you makes a silly mistake.
You're a very unusual woman.
And now it's time for our final. I have Evelyn Bagby matching up with Sybil Granger. Both women are memorable. Both women are compelling. Sybil's got the nod in the prior history category. And what about that respect column? Man, this is so tough. What it comes down to for me is that final sequence. We only get a telegraph from Sybil and Bruce. The main focus on Perry having to show Trag how it all worked.
You'd like to know how I worked that stunt with the blank cartridge.
We get Evelyn in the office receiving money and compliments from Perry, and Perry reading a telegram from Mervyn Aldrich. Evelyn Bagby by a hair, a red one at that. Sybil, Bruce loves you again. I hope that's enough for you. Evelyn, you've got Mervyn Aldrich's affection and Perry's respect. What else can we offer you? There we go. Well, that was fun. If you've got thoughts on where your favorite season 1 defendant ended up, drop me a line at theperrypod@gmail.com. Join me next time as we begin season 4 of Perry Mason. Robert Redford comes a-calling. Surely his beautiful head of hair isn't fake. It's the case of the treacherous toupee. Until then, this is Jonathan Searcy saying, keep on walking that Park Avenue beat!